Bonjour, baby cakes.
The time has arrived.
I've been wanting to react to these for a long time. Thank you so much to everyone, and I mean everyone, who left comments telling me what that weird concept of coming up with these very strange observations of real life called shower thoughts. You know, things that make you think, things that invoke thought, things that bring shocking revelation. We're gonna react to that today. We're gonna see if any of them can really trip us up and make us go into an existential crisis. That will be the swirling vortex of overthought. Before we continue, I'd just like to say that my Tears Don't Fall cover has been added to the Patreon, and it sounds like this. That's enough of that. So if you want to listen to that right now, it's up on my Patreon right now. So there's a link in the description, which, and stay with me here, if you click it, will take you to my Patreon. No joke. Also, a lot of you will be in the dark about the fact that I have in fact been writing a new solo album. Yes, a new solo album. And it's my little love letter to the late 90s and the early 2000s, the era of gothic and nu metal. Korn, Evanescence, Linkin Park, though not all strictly gothic, all very much nu metal. And I have just released the first song that will appear on the album. In fact, I'm going to be releasing all of the songs that are going to be appearing on my upcoming solo project, my nu metal project. And there is actually a guest vocalist appearing on it. It's a female vocalist. She sounds incredible. Basically, I wanted Amy Lee to sing on the song because I was like, man, this would sound perfect with Amy Lee's vocals on it. So I messaged her, and it turns out she actually said no. But then I thought to myself, who do I know who sounds exactly like Amy Lee? And then it dawned on me, I actually know quite a few. But the first one that came to mind, I messaged, and immediately she agreed. And she sounds incredible. So if you want to hear my duet, so go check out the Patreon, it's on there right now, it sounds amazing. It sounds like this. If you want to hear the rest of it, obviously sign up. Okay, so without further ado, let's check out some shower thoughts. Hopefully no one is actually in the shower. Actually, scratch that. Headphones. These aren't shower thoughts. These are stoner thoughts. Just an oversimplification of concepts and then wordplay in order to make something that could have been profound completely frickin' asinine. Let's see if there is actually anything that will make us ponder. Do you know what? I did like the there's more sky below you than there is above you. Actually, is that even true? I don't think it's even true. I think the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, objectively, it's equal amounts. And here we go. Here it comes. Here is the deep thought. Here is the epiphany. Here is the swirling vortex of overthought. There it is. ATM, a time machine. Fun fact, here in the UK, we call an ATM the hole in the wall. No joke. Do you want to get some money out the hole in the wall? That's what we say. Or cash machine, or cash point. We don't call it an ATM in the UK. ATM is an Americanism that has been adopted. I think a mirror is silver, isn't it? Or at least it used to be silver. They don't use silver anymore. In fact, that's another fun fact that I think Kaya actually told me. The reason why vampires could not see themselves in mirrors is because old-timey mirrors were made with silver backing. And silver being a pure metal, or whatever, meant that vampires could not see their reflection. But because they no longer use silver to create mirrors, modern-day vampires, or vampires living in the modern day, would be able to see themselves in mirrors, which I think is an interesting fact. Kaya just saying she hopes she's right on that. You can fact check. I'm sure there's going to be a million comments on this video. Yeah, I mean, technically it is a baby receipt. You can't return it. Wait, can you? No, that would be adoption centers. You don't take them back to the hospital. Could you imagine? Yeah, so I gave birth to this baby here about a year ago, and it's already a disappointment. And I'm just wondering, what's the warranty? What's the warranty on this child? Could you just put it back in? Do lions know that sharks exist? What is the correlation? I mean, you could literally replace those two animals with any other animals. Do ants know that fish are real? Does a panda know that a dolphin exists? You could do it with a lot of things. Do you know what? I've actually thought quite extensively about the logic of Toy Story. None of them immediately come to mind, but yeah, like, we break a lot of toys, and I know, like, Woody gets broken and stuff, like his arm tears. Like, do they feel that? What happens if a toy gets completely destroyed? I mean, they do actually address that in Toy Story. You know, in the first Toy Story movie, which is the one that I grew up watching, Sid puts that G.I. Joe on a rocket and it explodes. There is toy death. There is death in Toy Story. Gruesome, immediate, gory death. Toy Story is muffed. Fun fact. There's a lot of fun facts in this. Fun fact about Toy Story 3. I have not, nor will I ever watch Toy Story 3 because I've heard rumors that it has quite a resolute ending. You know, Andy grows up. Andy and Woody and, you know, his love of his toys was something that I associated with as a kid. I very closely associated with Andy and his toys. And I've always maintained that level of never growing up and, you know, being a kid forever. You can be responsible and you can be mature, but you can still be a child. You can still have that childlike wonder and imagination and fun, you know, and laugh and giggle and run and play, but also, you know, pay your bills. Adulthood is a duality. It's a duality that you have to balance between maturity and immaturity. But yes, the new Toy Story 3 movie came out ages ago, and, you know, it's all about Andy giving away his toys or something, and he grows up and he goes off, and then that's it. And I'm like, that sounds like it would crush everything I'm about, so I don't really think I'm going to watch that. So I'm never going to watch Toy Story 3. No, thank you. There was another thing. Yes, that was it. There was another... And I can't, so this is one, right? The kid's playing with the corpse of a toy if a toy dies, right? Because toys can die. You can bet your ass that G.I. Joe that exploded at the beginning of Toy Story 1 was not alive after that. Or maybe he was. Maybe pieces of him was used to make, maybe that was it. I can already see the YouTube comments. Maybe pieces of that G.I. Joe were used to make some of the creepy sort of Frankenstein toys at the end of that movie. I don't know. But someone pointed out a massive plot hole. A huge... glaring plot hole in Toy Story 1. If Buzz thought he was a real astronaut, then why did he deactivate whenever Andy walked into the room? Why? Surely he would have wanted to make contact with the leader of the toy group, of the toy tribe. Surely he would have been like, "Greetings, I am Tim Allen. I come in pies." There's obviously a reference to this, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. How did no one at Disney or Pixar at the time, how did no one figure that out? How did no one know? How did no one at the meeting, while they were pitching the screenplay, how did no one go like, if Buzz thinks he's actually a real astronaut, why does he always go into toy mode whenever Andy shows up? Buzz was just gaslighting everyone from the beginning! Oh, it suddenly becomes the answer to the question. Yeah. That's interesting. I like that one. You know what? I'm gonna rant about the alphabet. I'm gonna get pissed about the alphabet now. It's about to happen. That's a thing that's really about to happen. The letter X and the letter Q and the letter C are completely useless. They make no sense at all. They should not exist. A lot of the words, every single letter of the alphabet, you need to use that letter to say the word, right? There is usually, at some point in the phonetic way of saying the letter, like M, begins with an E, but M is in there because it's the letter M, right? Like this, M, right? But when it comes to the letter X, you can say it like that. And if you wanted to spell exit, you could spell it like that. You don't need the letter X. It's useless. It makes no sense. But then it's like, oh, what about like the word xylophone? It's like, well, that's why we have the letter Z/Z that we don't use ever. You know, like this and the word is, right? The S that's in this is not the same sound as the S that is in is. We do not use the letter Z that often. In fact, we are just so underusing the letter where it should be used. You don't say this is. You say this is. What a perfect opportunity to use the letter Z. Why did we not? And the letter C, let's rant about that for a sec. The letter C, right? If it's a soft C, it's pronounced like an S. So use the letter S. And if it's a hard C, it's pronounced like the letter K. So then use K. Why do we have C? It's so stupid. And lastly, the letter Q. Completely and utterly pointless. I know what you're thinking. Oh, but like quiet and quite and quick. It's like, yes, I get that. But let's again review the fundamental rule of thumb that I addressed earlier in this rant. You can say qua or Q without actually using the letter Q. Like if you wanted to say quick, you could spell it like that. With a K and a W. Qua. Pointless letter. English is stupid. That is interesting. The first time I heard the brain named itself, I was like,
Nani?
yeah, the brain the brain named itself. Totally did. Who else would have done it? The brain was just like, I get to pick my own name. Brian? No. Brain. Yeah. The brain picked its own name. That's amazing to think, because it did. Oh, well, I mean, that one's easy to answer. No one. Is the S or the C in scent silent? Actually, yes. Because if you take the S off, it still says scent. English is stupid. English makes no sense. There it is, right there, proof. I mean, not that we were lacking in evidence, but there's proof right there. You could take the S off that, and it still says scent. You could take the C out of that, and it still says scent. So why is both S and C in it? It's so stupid. When you clean a vacuum, do you become the vacuum cleaner? Yes, because it's called a vacuum because of the very physics of it. It is it's not. Is it a vacuum? It's more suction, really. It's not the absence of air from a cylinder then creating suction. It is a constant suction. It's not actually a vacuum. At least that's my understanding of it. But if you clean a vacuum, then it's not that you have a vacuum and you are using it to clean a vacuum. There is a vacuum and you are the cleaner of that vacuum. So yes, when you clean a vacuum, you do in fact become a vacuum cleaner. Though not by profession. Is that a vocation? If you work at a hospital, can you call in sick? Yes, absolutely. There are a myriad of illnesses that do not require you to go to hospital. If you drop soap, is the floor clean or is the soap dirty? The soap is dirty. Who closes the door after the bus driver gets off? Well, buses have like a button on the outside that both open and close bus doors. At least my old buses did. They have like a little emergency button. You push it, the doors close. Who knew the time when the first clock was made? Probably the person who was reading the time off the sundial, so... Yes, they can. Blind person dreams. I've always wondered that. Do you know what? There are many things. Many things that we just take for granted because most of us have the power of sight and hearing. Two of the very fundamental senses that human beings have. And I, for one, have actually wondered a lot. People who are born blind or born deaf or born both, whenever you think, there's a lot of sound in your head, right? There's a lot of referential sounds, sounds from memory. You know, you can hear sometimes talking in your head when you're reading. You can almost hear it, though it's more of a concept rather than actual like audible inside your head. But you can make sounds, and sometimes it's involuntary. You can just hear sounds. That's why people say, you know, quiet your mind and try and focus. But people who are born deaf, what do you hear? It's so hard. It's almost trying to comprehend the existence of life. Like, if we even had the answer, could we understand it? You know? And the same with people who are blind. Like, what do you dream? Because dreams are extremely visual, vivid, terrifying. So if you're blind, what do you dream? What do you see? God, yeah, it happened. There we go. Now I'm in deep thought and I'm really wondering. Because you think and you try and put yourself in that position. You try and imagine what it must be like not to have these senses. But you've had these senses your entire life, and because they are so fundamental, you cannot imagine life without them. You can't possibly imagine what it's like to have never heard sound. Do you know what? I've only heard that recently. I mean, you know, people catch birds and they look after them in animal sanctuaries, so if you honestly think birds are actually drones by the government, then you are most likely an American citizen. Oh man, that was terrifying, but fun. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this video. I have been cutting so many boxes recently. I know that sounds very weird. It sounds like a complete non sequitur from what we've just been watching, but I feel like my life for the last couple of days has just been cutting boxes. A lot of things have been arriving in boxes recently, and I've had to cut so many boxes. Oh my god. There's been a lot of things going on that can affect people's mental health, which, you know, it has been. And, you know, I do have a schedule. I try to keep to it, but ultimately, you know, I try not to post a video when I feel like it's forced or when I really feel like I can't, you know, to maintain my good mentality, make sure I'm not burning out. That's very important to make sure I don't burn out. I have burned out before, and it's very, very bad. It can trigger depression, you know, it can pretty much render your channel useless for a month, sometimes longer, because you're in such a bad mental place that you can't actually upload content. So I know I have my schedule, but ultimately, whenever I'm not feeling up to it, I won't. Because so many YouTubers, and myself included, I've been doing this for a while, been doing this for about 6-7 years, that, you know, I know when burnout's coming, I know how to avoid it now. So that's why. Don't forget to go and check out the Patreon. Those 2 new songs are up there immediately. You guys can just listen to it, do what you want with it. I will be getting a guest vocalist for the Tears Don't Fall cover, so the screaming sections on there will not be remaining on there whenever it comes out on YouTube. I hope they agree, because they're awesome. Alright everyone, I had a great day today because I made it a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Alright, goodbye everyone.